Moly, what a place. Just always Tinakilly House is one of those spots, and we're lucky in Wicklow that there's a few of them around where they just seem untouched by time, very beautiful, and they just seem to be a perfect fit for you and for this kind of thing where people just want to escape the real world. 3 years ago you landed here. Can you kind of remember when this was first introduced to you? Because it didn't look like this. Were you kind of in shock? Were you, I don't know how you reacted.
I was definitely in shock. I was in shock because of all the things that had happened, like there had been the whole place that I've been in, Charlesland, that had gone up in smoke, and there was a few various things that had happened along the way, and then COVID, and everything was really very difficult. And I'd really got to the stage that I was kind of thinking, how can I start over again? How can I, and the people that owned Tinakilly House, the Connolly family, were members in the previous place, and they just said to me one day, look, come out, we have something to show you, just come out and have a look, see what you think. And they brought me into this beautiful space here, which was still a beautiful space, but not quite what it is today.
Well, it was a barn.
It was a stable. The year
Right.
before, a foal had been born almost in the spot where we are. So it actually was a stable. The beautiful windows here, which are from a Victorian hotel in the UK, these windows had been installed, and they weren't quite sure what they were going to do with the building, so they just said, do you think this might work? And cut a long story short, I said, look, let's go for it. And they sorted everything out. 3 weeks went past, and this beautiful space that I have kind of made my own, and all that was evolved. And we've been here now, and it's just amazing. My old loyal customers who have been with me for years through thick and thin came along, and then bit by bit all the new customers come in, and it's a fabulous space. And I think because it's such a gorgeous sort of space that feels like a wellness space, it just feels, you drive up that avenue and you come in here and it's peaceful and calm, and the space is gorgeous, and I think the atmosphere, the people that come in are lovely, and the instructors are lovely, and it's just it's really, you feel good when you come in.
Well, you do strike me as somebody, as my mom would call, a lucky fecker, because you had all that hardship, and I was going to say lucky fecker, but then you really deserved this kind of, outcome, because you worked, day and night trying to make, the Charlesland operation work. You had all sorts of obstacles thrown in your way. Then, as you say, COVID came along. I don't know if you sort of took a moment when you arrived here to realise this could be it. This could be all right now. I think I'm going to be okay.
I think every day I come in here, I just count my blessings. Because I know what it's like when it's not working, and when you're trying your best and you're working hard and everybody's willing it to work for you, and things outside of your control are tripping you up. And I went through such a stage at one stage of just, am I going to give this all up? And it would be so difficult for me to give it up, because I love helping people. I love Pilates. I see that it helps people. I've been doing it for quarter of a century now. Wow. And I've seen the many people that come back to me and say, oh my God, this changed my life, actually, in lots of ways. So it would have been devastating to have to give it up, but at one stage I thought there was nowhere else to go, nothing so this has been just amazing, and to see it building and building and building and building is great.
Well, I know the great Joseph Pilates came up with this in the 1920s. It hasn't changed miraculously in 100 years. It's still the same kind of, ideas and exercises that he designed. I kind of feel it is basically sexy stretching, though, isn't it? Or especially with all this S&M gear that you have behind you. But what grabbed you? Did you kind of read up on them first? Did you? I don't know, somebody introduced you?
Actually, when I was first introduced to Pilates, I knew, there was something called Pilates, but hardly knew anything about it. I didn't know it was a person that So it is over 25 years ago when I was introduced to it first, and it was an injury I had been in a head-on car crash, and I'd injured my neck and back. And I tried everything, and it was a urologist who said to me, maybe you should try Pilates. So I went off, found a wonderful woman in Thomas Street in Dublin, and went into her. She had a reformer like this, and she had a trapeze, which I have down there. She had those pieces of equipment, and she introduced me to it, and I couldn't believe it. It probably took, it's not like a magic wand. You have to put the effort in.
Sure.
But the amazing thing about it is that the exercises that Joseph Pilates come up with, and everybody tries to change them and call it something else and put their own name on it and build their profile. But basically, if you actually stick pretty much to his work and bring in the benefit that we have of science, you will see that because you work every muscle in the body, through every plane of motion, you're working the arms, you're twisting the body, you're turning the body, you're doing all the things that we stop doing. We do all these things when we're young, and we play in playgrounds, and we hang out of things, and we move every bit of fat and every muscle in our body. Then we get to a certain age and we sit in the one position, we walk in the one direction, we cycle in the one direction, we do everything in the one plane of motion. And then we lose the ability to do all these twisting and turning, and then we're afraid to do it. We say, oh God, no, I'm 50 years of age, I can't possibly turn around, I can't lift my arm over my head, no. So, like, we just have to remember, yes, we can. Like, working our fascia, keeping our fascia mobile is how we keep our bodies young. It's how we keep our posture, it's how we keep our movement.
I don't want to blow smoke, but I was just thinking now, we did speak maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and you haven't changed a bit. Besides the Bride of Frankenstein streak in the hair, I think that idea that it does seem to work enormously well at keeping, you know, as well as being fit, but just the sort of a youth part of it. It just seems to connect you to, you know.
Well, actually, fascia, keeping our fascia moving, is how we keep our bodies young. It's how we keep our posture upright. You see people...
Fascia is Latin for ass, isn't it? What's fascia?
So fascia is literally 28 kilos in our body is comprised of fascia. Okay. It covers every muscle fibre, every organ, everything in our body, and it's what keeps everything moving and sliding. But it's also the receptor for emotions and pain and all that kind of thing. So when that stiffens up, as it does as we get older, instead of being in nice little waves that flows, it becomes matted. And as it becomes matted, we get matted.
Right.
we close up. So the important thing is keeping everything moving.
Was our boy Joseph the first to recognise that, or was it already in the ether that it was just part of our...
No, there were several people, Ida Rolfe, there was loads of people around that time, particularly coming out of the war and everything, and people were a bit more into wellness and health and developing all this. And he was doing it long before the war. His mother was a naturopath and his father was a circus performer. So he was used to looking at people that were very much into their health. Right. And then he kind of turned his own health around he was an unhealthy child, and turned his own health around by devising these type of exercises. And he's along.
I'm just thinking he would be pretty stunned to think that the whole world is sort of caught up on, you know, what he was feeling back then. And I know there were people like him who were already tapping into what is actually, you know, beneficial and why we should...
He said that he was 50 years ahead of his time.
Right.
When he worked until he was in his late 80s, and when he died, or before he died, he was kind of a bit disillusioned because he felt that he wanted Pilates to be taught in every school in the States.
Right.
He saw that modern living was making people turn in on themselves, forward shoulders, forward heads. He could see all these things that were happening, and he knew that if people did his exercises, that they would be...
The posture would be back to...
The whole world, if everybody did my exercises, they'd be happier.
Right.
That's one of the things he said. So he was a bit disillusioned at the time that he died, that it wasn't taking off. I mean, if you could see now that, like, millions of people all over the world were practicing Pilates and fighting over it.
Well, that's the thing. I was thinking, when it comes to Pilates, and then you have yoga and meditation, all that, is there a bit of rivalry? I know you have fights in the car parks sometimes after a well-being session.
Not at all. And actually, Joseph Pilates himself, he looked at yoga, he looked at Tai Chi, he looked at all those types of exercises, and gymnastics, boxing. They were all. He was a boxer as well. He gymnast. So he took all little bits from all of these, and he looked like the way that animals, before they would move, they'd stretch. So he studied all of this, and it's all an amalgamation. And Pilates and yoga, they're both amazing. Actually, both make the whole body move, and so it's really, you find the one that works best for you.
Well, if a fight does break out, I'd say the meditation people, I'd say you'd have them easy. They're very lazy, aren't they?
I tell you, yoga's also hard work. But there is a little bit. They're both mind-body exercises. So yoga has the more spiritual end to it, where you have the meditation and all that kind of thing. In Pilates, you do the deep diaphragmatic breathing, which in itself promotes sort of that nice well-being in the body. So it's the deep diaphragmatic breathing that we know is so important for our wellness. So that's in Pilates.
Now, we should mention that the beautiful Connellys here, they not only have this incredible property in the middle of Rathnew, but they have a very nice place over in Spain, which has sort of become, it's their sister kind of hotel. that opened up a whole new sort of, you know, kind of adventure for you guys, where in October, and you've done it a good few times now, you've got a wonderful retreat. That must have, again, been sort of like a real thrill to realise, oh, this is a whole new different colour I can play with in a whole different area.
Yeah, it's great. And the thing that, one of the things about Pilates, Joseph, Pilates would have been very much into it being a holistic practice. So you looked at not just the movement, but that people were getting fresh air, they were getting proper sleep, and that they were eating properly. So in the retreat, the chefs in Finca Monasterio, which is the hotel, are amazing, and they come up with all this amazing non-inflammatory food. So it's the most beautiful food. You wouldn't even realise you're eating healthy food. It's the most beautiful food. So we have the good food, we go for hikes in the beautiful outdoors over there, and then we have Pilates several times a day. So it's 5 days of absolute bliss, and you actually see the changes in people over the 5 days. And in Germany, sorry, go on here now. In Germany, they have a thing called KUR, K-U-R, which was developed after the war. Okay. And it's a retreat that the government in Germany pay for, where it was really for, when the war ended, it was for the women who were completely stressed because they'd been holding everything together when all this was going on. So they come up with this 3 weeks, send them off, good food, fresh air, exercise. But it's been developed now, and the government pay for it. So stressed executives, coming out of COVID, it's taken a leap. So it's a fantastic idea. It'd be fantastic if it caught on here. Not only that, you know, where people, because it is essential for our reset and for our minds, just to get away from the stress and just switch it off.
And you can see how people are recognising that. Even kids, like primary school age kids, have stress levels now because of the pressures of social media and just generally living up to some crazy kind of ideas of what's cool and what's not cool. And so it's great to see there are kind of recognitions of that. It Takes a Village has sort of been hugely effective, not only in Greystones, but sort of tripping the rest of the world. And I think, again, it's just that recognition that it's not about, you know, just running, or it's not about, you know, being fit. There's a huge amount goes on inside as well that needs to...
Absolutely. And, you know, it's good because schools are taking that on board too, and they are bringing in people to do things like yoga and wellness and Pilates and that in the schools. And it is needed because, honestly, I'd actually hate to be a child at the moment because there is so much stress on them, coming from every angle.
Big time.
Yeah.
I suppose to wrap up, you do have a whole new autumn schedule, which we'll put a link to above. I'm guessing and hoping this is sort of like a forever home. It does feel like it's a perfect fit. I would hope that you're thinking the same way, because after many years of travelling the globe looking for a place to base yourself. So yeah, it's just such a spot on place. So yeah, as I said, we'll include everything above in the text and all that, but nicely done.